In episode 18, remember Hachiman from 2 seasons ago? Well, guess what? He's back and in this episode. Well, the story begins at the Black Pyramid and in the tomb chamber with Mumm-ra and his canine pal. Well, speaking of Mumm-ra, he just heard the voices of his ancient spirits calling his name and asked, "Can you hear us?" So after Mumm-ra woke up, it says, "I hear you. Did you just call me?" In fact, we did, the spirit said, and they just told him the bad news that his grip on Third Earth is slipping away. And then he told them, "We're here to warn you. If you do not rid Third Earth of Thundercats, and we do mean soon, then we'll replace you with someone who could." When Mumm-ra panicked and says, "Don't do that. I'll get rid of them. You'll see. I won't let you down." "Then look into the cauldron," the spirit said. And when Mumm-ra did, and that's when the spirits told him that here's something that you can use for your advantage. And what Mumm-ra saw was the jade double-headed dragon of doom. So Mumm-ra's ancient spirits of evil was more than glad to tell Mumm-ra how the double dragon of doom came into play. They said that many centuries ago, when a young samurai was about to get married to a young beautiful woman, so as a wedding gift, he gives her a double dragon of doom. But there's a problem. The samurai's soon-to-be father-in-law is said to be the most powerful and an evil man, a sorcerer, if you will. Then they told Mumm-ra in the present scene that there's a bigger problem. Her father wouldn't allow the marriage to happen, so guess what he did? He did what any sorcerer would do. He brought the jade double-headed dragon of doom to life. What's worst of it all is that later on that night, what the jade dragon of doom did after it came to life, it swallowed the samurai whole. Then back in the present! Mumm-ra had decided to plead a case by asking a question. What's this got to do with the Thundercats anyway? How's the double-headed dragon of doom going to defeat them? How will it pull it off? To answer Mumm-ra's question, that's when the spirits of evil continued to explain that when Jaga the Wise was alive, now don't forget he passed away 2 seasons ago, he's the one that set the samurai free from his imprisonment from the jade double-headed dragon of doom. The samurai was getting worried that if the double-headed dragon of doom was to fall in the wrong hands, it could mean a disaster, a dire consequence, if you will. So what the samurai did is that he gave the double-headed dragon of doom to Jaga. So back in the present, in the tomb chamber, Mumm-ra still doesn't understand. That's when the spirits of evil continue to explain that. Flashback, we go back to 14 episodes ago when at the time, after Jaga passed away and when Mumm-ra got that gold chest. That's when the spirits of evil said that the Jade Dragon of Doom, that before Jaga passed away, the double-headed Dragon of Doom was inside of that casket. That was at the time when Mumm-ra got both the Sword of Plondar and the chest itself until the Sword of Omens broke the chest itself. So that explains why the treasures were lost. Up until this very day, as the spirits of evil continue to explain further, even now, according to what they said, the Thundercats are on New Thundera right this minute looking for it. There's Lionel and Chitara, the Thundercats, along with Scooper, the robotic dog. You remember him from 8 episodes ago. Then back in the present, in the Pyramid's tomb chamber, that's when the spirits of evil told Moro that by the time that the Thundercats find the dragon, that's where he comes in. And when that happens, according to what the spirits told Mumm-ra even further, that's when they told him that the Dragon of Doom must be activated immediately. And when that happens, the Jade Double-Headed Dragon of Doom will be used against the Thundercats. And why is that? Because as anyone would tell you, it was all part of the plan. So Mumm-ra didn't hesitate to get the plan in motion. Meanwhile, on the planet of the Red Sun, that's where Hachiman lives. So in Hachiman's house, you see Hachiman sleeping on the floor, but he's having a terrible nightmare. So in Hachiman's dream, it was Lionel, the leader of the Thundercats, being swallowed up by a jade double-headed dragon of doom when it came to life. And when that happened, that's when Lionel says, "Help me, Hachiman, help me." So After Hachiman woke up in the present, he knew what he had to do. He had to go save Lionel right away. He knew that there was no time to lose. So long story short, after Hachiman had suited up, he got on his mechanical horse, Doji King, and so he's now on his way to New Thundera. Meanwhile, on Third Earth and at the Black Pyramid, Mombat, who's Mumm-ra's sidekick, just told his master what's going on. So, after he looked into the cauldron and so did his canine pal, what Mumm-ra saw was unbelievable. Hachiman on his way to New Thundera. He must have sensed that since Lionel's in trouble, he should head straight there. So that's what Hachiman was doing. So after Mumm-ra saw what he knew from his canine pal, he couldn't help but ask himself, what is he up to? Well, he had no idea why and what is going on. But yet he couldn't help but say to himself that Hachiman must be as agent as Mumm-ra is, and he couldn't help but ask if he senses that Lionel's in trouble, and so is Chitara, and that's why he's on his way there to the New Thundera right this minute. So after Mumm-ra calls his canine companion to come to him, and of course he did, so you know what this means. As any bad guy would do, he has a plan. So he told his canine pal that they must prevent Hachiman from reaching his destination. Oh, what Mumm-ra did is that he told his agent spirits of evil to transform his canine pal, so that's what he did. After Mumm-ra threw his canine companion into the cauldron to get him to transform, and next thing you know, Mama transformed all right and he became a bat. After that's finished, that's when Mama told the mom bat that he has a mission for him. He says, go find Hachiman, seek him out. But not just him, but also his mechanical horse. And make sure if you do find them, Mama said, devour them both. And so Mama, now a mom bat, was sent out on his mission. Meanwhile, in outer space, remember Hachiman and his mechanical horse? Now remember they were on their way to New Thundera, but he's not the only one. The Mama Bat that was sent on his mission, he's on his way there too. Back with Hachiman, he had no idea that something just attacked his mechanical horse from behind. Then he looked to the left and right and thought he saw something or someone following him, but he had no idea that it was Momut, Mumm-ra's psychic, now a bat. Long story short, after Hachiman has suffered many attacks and without his helmet and of course his armor, he's on the Mama Bat. Now without his mechanical horse, he decided to have a ride on top of the Mama Bat for a while. Then he just pleaded his case to say, this will be the last time you ever attack me, and so, as any good guy would do, he uses his super strength. And when he did, the Malmut bat disappeared and just became Malmut, Momra's sidekick, as Hachiman was falling. Later, back with Chitara and Lionel at the Thundercats, and let's not forget Scooper, the robotic dog. Chitara just told Lionel how exhausted they are, and so she suggested that Scooper should take over the dig site for a while. Good idea, Lionel said. So the first thing Lionel did was to call for Scooper, in which Scooper responded, and then goes to Chitara to seek something for the Thundercats. So looking in the Book of Omens, remember the double-headed dragon of doom that the spirits of evil told Mumm-ra about? Well, that's what the Thundercats were looking for. So Scooper didn't hesitate to dig in that same spot where Lionel is, and so Scooper did. Back with Scooper, within seconds he found the double-headed dragon of doom and gave it to Chitara so she could brush it off. It's the same dragon, all right. So what Chitara did is that she set it aside and then told Lionel, let's see what else we can find. But Scooper sensed that there was something off with the two-headed dragon of doom and he has no idea why. He tried to get Lionel's attention, but Lionel just ignores him. Meanwhile, back on Third Earth and at the Black Pyramid's tomb chamber, Mumm-ra just asked his agent spirits of evil for a favor. And what was that favor? It's just like what the sorcerer did all these years ago. He asked for the agent spirits of evil the power to bring the double-headed dragon to life. After Mumm-ra's spirits of evil had done just that, back on New Thundera, Chitara, Lino, and Scooper the dog had no idea that just moments ago, some kind of power just brought a great double-headed dragon to life. Luckily for Scooper, he hid underground. While that's going on, back with Hachiman, luckily he found something soft to land on. He just landed into the caverns of cold. Back with Lino and Chitara, remember the double-headed dragon that came to life? Well, it actually did. When they looked behind them, they were in shock. So Lino told Chitara, "Get out of here!" But Chitara said, "No way!" And of course, to Hachiman's dismay, instead of swallowing Lionel just like he saw in his dreams, what the double-headed dragon did is that it swallowed not only Lionel but also Chitara. Third Earth at the Pyramid's Tomb Chamber. Unfortunately for Hachiman, he should have seen this coming because, for one thing, it was all part of you know who's plan. And also, unfortunately for Hachiman, what he dreamt has actually come true. But is he too late to save them? Long story short, luckily for Hachiman, he found a safe place to land, in the snow, of course, back on Third Earth and at the Black Pyramid's tomb chamber. That's when Mumm-ra told his canine pal that it's about time they finished up the plan. So what does he do? Just like what any bad guy would do, he not only returned the Dragon of Doom back to its normal size and with Lionel and Chitara inside. So unless someone saves them in quick, this could mean bad news for everyone and the Thundercats themselves. Back with Scooper, the robotic dog, now all by himself, he did what any normal dog should do. He let out a howl so that Hachiman can hear and get his attention. And when Hachiman back with him, after he heard it, he rushed to the scene. So by the time that Hachiman arrived, Scooper, the robotic dog, had made up with him. And when they both went back, that's when Hachiman looks at the double-headed dragon of doom with Lionel and Chitara in sight, and he knew that what he sensed was absolutely true. Not only that, but Hachiman had a suspicious thought that someone must have done it to, quote, do away with his friends, and he knew that there was only one person, Mumm-ra himself, but not just him, but also his canine pal. So guess what Hachiman did? Just like what any good guy would do. He called upon his agent spirits of his own ancestors to suit him up again. So he did. So, long story short, after Hachiman had finished suiting up, and before you know it, meanwhile back on Third Earth and at the Black Pyramid's tomb chamber, Mumm, who's Mumm-ra's psychic, just woke up his master to tell him what's going on. But just before Mumm can get closer to the cauldron to see what's going on, something caused it to shake. He had no idea what's going on, but he's about to witness of what's about to happen next. Next thing you knew, he's face to face with Hachiman, all suited up and has a sword, the Thunder Cutter, with him. Before Hachiman could go into the battle with Mumm-ra, he told Mumm-ra that he remembered him. So, what did Mumm-ra do? He calls for his agent spirits to destroy Hachiman, so that's what he did. Next thing Hachiman knew is that two of the agent spirit statues suddenly came to life and have a combat with him. So, the battle begins between two of the agent spirit statues and Hachiman. And each attack that they did, Hachiman just dodged every attack. And it just went on and on and on and on and on. So after Hachiman had finished his battle, he tells Mumm-ra for someone who uses someone else's work is really a coward. And you can tell that Mumm-ra's not very amused with that insult. So after Mumm-ra pleaded a case to Hachiman to say that there was no way he's going to survive, or so Hachiman thought, so Hachiman ran into Mumm-ra, and when he did, that caused him to be disarmed. So, just like what any bad guy would do, as always, Mumm-ra was going to change into his mummified form. The transformation was finished. There's good news and bad news. Well, first of all, he successfully transformed into his monstrous form. Now here comes the bad news. He's now wondering, what's going on here? By surprise, when Mumm-ra was asking why he was weak all of a sudden, well, Hachiman just let slip in front of him to say, when two of the agent spirits went back together again, well, let's just say they're mixed up, which is why Mumm-ra was weakened all of a sudden. So when Mumm-ra found out after hearing it from Hachiman, that's when he got upset. So he says, weak am I? I'll show you who's weak. And so what Mumm-ra did is that he pulls out a sword of Plondar, and so both he, Mumm-ra, and Hachiman themselves are having a combat with each other. Before the combat can happen, that's when Mumm-ra pleads his case with Hachiman with a quote that says, "Since you lived by the sword, now you must be destroyed by it." And so the sword combat begins, but first of all, Hachiman had to call for his sword, the Thundercutter, so he did, levitatively speaking, of course, and so did the sword of Plundar, and so the sword combat just went on and on and on and on and on. The sword combat fight, that's when Mumm-ra continues to plead a case. He told Hachiman, "Well, my powers may be limited, that may be true, but I still have some to destroy your Thundercat pals." After Hachiman saw Mumm-ra disappear, he said that there's no way he's going to let him get away. So there's only one thing left to do, go back to New Dundera. So meanwhile there, Scooper the robotic dog was worried and concerned. And when Hachiman came back, well, Scooper at first didn't recognize him. So Hachiman told Scooper the robotic dog, "You can relax. I'm here now. I'm here to help," he said. What Hachiman did first is that he picks up the double-headed dragon of doom with both Lionel and Chitara inside, and he started to have a thought on how he's going to rescue them and without harming them in any way. So even though Hachiman has a reason to be concerned and worried that one fatal mistake could mean a disaster, so he decided that if that's the risk he'll have to take, then so be it. So what he did is that he tosses the double-headed dragon up in the air. He then carefully sliced it in half, and good news, both Lionel and Chitara are set free thanks to him. And for once, Hachiman didn't even slip up. Now that Lionel and Chitara are free, that's the good news, but the bad news is that they're still small in size. So when Chitara asked Lionel what was going on, Lionel said that he isn't sure, then looks up at Hachiman and said that he owes him one, but Hachiman tells him that it wasn't necessary. He just did what's needed to be done. And he did. But now, according to Hachiman, here comes a problem. He said he couldn't figure out why they are so small and how he's going to get them back to their normal size. But then suddenly, long story short, the ground exploded, and we know what caused it. None other than Mumm-ra himself, and he just appeared in front of Hachiman, who was unconscious at the moment, and he just made a statement saying, "He who laughs last will laugh the loudest." As for Chitara and Lionel, they're unconscious too, but we'll get to them later. Things are looking bad for Hachiman when back with Lionel and Chitara told you we'd get back to them later. So when Chitara panicked and told Lionel there's something that needs to be done about it, well, there is something Lionel can do about it, and he did something that he never did before. He asked his sword of omens to never fail him, so what he did is that something he never did before, even though he couldn't hold a sword. The sword of omens by surprise just projected a Thundercat signal from his sword, just like any good guy would do. So it did. So thanks to the Thundercat signal, something amazing happened because Mumm-ra got struck from the back and it became a mummified self again and then disappeared. And as for Lionel and Chitara, they went back to their normal sizes again, thanks to the Thundercat's signal. And of course, what's even better, they owe it all to the Sword of Omens that made it possible. So back with Lionel and Chitara, which good news for them are now back to their normal sizes again, they went up to Hachiman. They both said, "Are you okay?" "Don't worry, he's fine." So that's the good news. So Lionel says that there's no better way to thank Hachiman for all he did, and there's no other way to express it. And that, Chitara goes first to tell Hachiman that she owes him her life, and of course Lionel's as well. And of course Hachiman will do the same with them being Lionel and Chitara. And guess who else is glad to see that the Thundercats are back to normal, none other than Scooper. And not only that, he thanked Hachiman in a different way. Then Chitara told Hachiman, "Well, Scooper may not be brave, that's exactly true, but he's very loyal." She's not kidding. Hachiman then has his turn to not only agree with Chitara, But he also said nothing can ask more or less than that. And he's not kidding. Then suddenly the feliner had arrived moments later. Oh, and as for Mumm-ra's plan, it once again backfired. And as for the jade double-headed dragon of doom, is now on the treasures list. So when the feliner landed, out comes Panthro, the Thunder Kittens, and of course Snarf, who said hello to Hachiman himself. After Panthro had pleaded his case to Hachiman to say it's good to see him, and that's when Hachiman said hello back to the Thundercats. And Panthro has his turn to plead his case. He said the moment that he, the Thunderkins, and Snarf had seen the signal, they tried to get there as fast as they could, but they just couldn't get there quick enough. Then Wily Cat has his turn to ask a question. What happened? Well, Lionel says, I think we have a little dragon problem. What do you mean, dragon problem? Wily Kid asked. So Wily Kid was asked by Hachiman to hold out her hands, and she did, and so he gave her the double-headed dragon of doom. And she said, gee, it's beautiful. It's a shame that it's broken in half, Snarf said. So Wily Kid asked Panther a question. Can you fix it? Well, the reason why Wily Kid was asking Panther that is because she's not kidding that Panther could fix anything. So Chitara says, I don't think you should do that. Why not? Wily Kid asked. Well, would you believe that Lino and I had just been trapped inside of it just moments ago? Chitara said. Well, you can ask Hachiman if you like if you don't believe me. But when Chitara looked over her shoulder, Hachiman had already left. Wily Kid asked a question. Where did he go? Well, Panthro can answer that. He's going back to the planet of the Red Sun where he comes from. Then Wily Cat, who was disappointed, he just pleaded his case to say Hachiman didn't even stick around to say thank you. Well, according to Lionel, he said in his case that Hachiman just didn't do it for thanks. The reason? Well, according to Lionel, he said that Hachiman has his own code and his own honor, and he's not kidding. So Snarf says, well, thanks to him, you're both safe in my case. Then Chitara speaks in her case and said, I would definitely agree with that. And that's something that all the Thundercats should agree. Had it not been for Hachiman, he never would have saved the day when he did. So that ends episode 18.